The barbershop was the Facebook of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s.
Right,
Everybody went in there for information.
right. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, yeah.
With social
They
media.
they didn't go in there for information. They went in there for a haircut, but it
Yeah.
took them 4 hours to get it.
The haircut was 2 minutes. The visit was 2 hours.
Yeah, four. It took us. I mean, by the time you waited, and that was also the time of afros. The late '60s, '70s was the time of afros. That took an hour or so to shape an afro.
Yeah, I had a perm once.
An afro is not a perm.
I know. Well, it's close as I could get.
Wow.
Welcome to Peter and Phil's Courageous Conversations, a podcast addressing race relations and social issues in hopes that you'll be inspired to do the same. Now, let's begin our conversation with your hosts, Dr. Peter Weinstein and Dr. Philip Nelson.
So since we bought the house, when we bought the house, we were gifted a home warranty service. That for a fixed fee will come out and do repairs. And that includes everything, parts, labor, etc. So because I need a plumber, I went online today, and for $75, all parts including and the time, whatever, I'll have a plumber come out next week.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a fixed fee per year. It's like home insurance for ongoing repairs. And so we've had refrigerator repairs and microwave repairs and everything else. And to me, it's garage door repairs when the spring broke and stuff. To me, for somebody who is, well, let's just say I went into internal medicine because surgery wasn't my strength.
Well, since you're mechanically impaired.
I'm mechanically impaired. Thank you. Since I'm mechanically impaired, I can diagnose,
but you can't.
but I got to refer for treatment. It's been a great adjunct. And so I would suggest that anybody who doesn't like to do repairs, hire a surgeon or get a warranty service of some sort to do all these different things.
Yeah, see, being born in the South, you learn, I guess this is just part of this. This is the new subsistence living approach,
Yeah.
But it's the same mental assessment, though. You pay people to do what you can't.
Right.
You just decide what you can or cannot do, or what you're willing to do. For instance, I don't go to a barbershop the way you do because I'd rather spend my time doing something else.
Well, yes,
and my hair is not as good. So cutting my own hair doesn't matter that much. I look the same after I finish cutting as I do when a barber cuts it. So I'm not going to pay him that kind of money.
True.
And it's hard for me to find a black barber who will cut my hair by appointment too.
Really? There are black barbers, but they don't have appointments, or there aren't that many black barbers?
Oh, there are black barbers, and I don't know if they have appointments now or not. But when I grew up, you just even if I made an appointment, it was just to say this is what time I show up. I still fall in the queue when I walk in.
Wasn't there a movie with Eddie Murphy or something like that?
Yes, The Barbershop.
Yeah.
Several movies. That's the
social place. That's everybody goes.
That's the social news.
Yeah.
Before Facebook, that's how we got our news.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like when I finally grew up enough that I could go to the same barbershop my dad went to. And they didn't have to put the riser in the chair. It was one of those chairs that had the paper in the back, so when you put your head on it, you felt like you were growing up when you got to go to the same barber that your dad did.
Did your barbershop do a lot of exchange of views?
There was a lot of talk going on. I can't say that as a teenager I paid much attention to it.
Well, you don't go to a black barbershop and not pay attention. You can't. I mean, there's a lot of boasting and it's loud, and you might try to read while you're there. It's not like going to a funeral home or even a woman's hairdresser. I mean, everybody is part of the conversation. I mean, because the customers are talking to the barber.
Yeah.
and everybody's on the same topic as well. Because the customers, they may know each other, but they didn't plan on meeting each other that day. That's happenstance. So it usually starts with, did you see the game yesterday? Or who's coaching at Jackson State? Or what do you think about the governor's thing that he just did? Or the mayor? Or I'm tired of these potholes. And it just moves from one thing to another. And there's always some witty person in there who has everybody rolling.
It's the source of local news and conversation. It's, I go back to watching Andy Griffith and watching the Barbershop there. Everybody knew everything. Everybody went in there to get updated on who was dating whom and doing what with whom. So I'd like to say I remember that, but it's either because I'm old or because I wasn't paying attention that I just don't remember how much the conversation was, or maybe it was because the adults were talking to the barber and I was just getting my hair cut.
I think you can be focused that way. I can imagine that you were just in there to get your hair cut.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was a teenager and went, I didn't participate. I just listened.
Right.
And I was always intrigued by the guy that had the gift of gab and always had something funny to say about everything.
The Barbershop was the Facebook of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Everybody went in there for information.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
With social media.
They didn't go in there for information. They went in there for a haircut, but it took them 4 hours to get it.
The haircut was 2 minutes. The visit was 2 hours.
Yeah, 4. It took us. I mean, by the time you waited, and that was also the time of afros. The late 60s, 70s was the time of afros. That took an hour or so to shape an afro.
Yeah, I had a perm once.
Afro is not a perm.
I know. Well, it's close as I could get.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot what they used to call that. Because James Brown, went from that transformation. He used to have a perm.
Yeah.
That's not what we called it though. And at that time, everybody coiffed their hair, and then in the 60s, we went natural.
Well, and that was when you were selling your subscriptions to Ebony, right?
Ebony magazine. That's right. But you know what? I was very bad at it because I only sold one copy of Ebony, and luckily that was to my dad's best friend. And so,
it was Ebony and Jet, right?
Jet and Ebony. They were published by Johnson & Johnson, both of them. And luckily I went to my dad's best friend who called my dad up and said, "You need to teach your son how to say ebony." Said you shouldn't let him out selling these magazines if he doesn't know the name of them.
I can only imagine.
So I was only embarrassed in front of one person that I can remember.
It is interesting how conversations, and again it goes back to the original conversations that we were having. This over the fence, front porch type thing, the diner, the place you went to get your hair cut, the barbershop. Those were the places for conversations.
Yeah.
And if you go,
those were the places we remember as conversations. I mean, especially over the fence and stuff. But they were all happenstance conversations. They weren't planned. They were spontaneous.
Thank you for joining us for another courageous conversation. Be sure to follow us and check back next week for more.